Greetings, peace, power everyone. Welcome to another Chief Speaks on Enlightenment and Transformation. As some of you know, I am Chief Yuya, and as many of you will get to know, I am the head instructor of the Sadua House Spiritual Center, as well as Chief Jegna of the Anu Life Global Ministries and the Anu Nation. Lots of Anu, right? So we're going to jump right back into it. For those of you who were able to tune into our segment last strong, you know that while we were recording, we began to lose some of our raw, some of our sunlight. So I think we may have the same situation in this segment, but you know, we still made it happen. It's all about what you're hearing anyway. So this may end up being another fireside chat with Chief Yuya. But this month we've been covering the topic of family, right? And we were able to kind of explore a little bit last segment the notion of the alpha male, the notion of the alpha female, and some of the things that are done very insidiously to dismantle the paradigm of the alpha male, the alpha female, which of course denotes the alpha family. And I want to get into that a little bit more. I know there were some questions that came in, and I'll try to go through some of those, but I want to kind of just deal with the subject for a little bit, and then maybe we'll do a Q&A. If I don't do the Q&A in this segment, then I may include it in next strong segment, the open forum that the students do, or I'll include it in next month's topic, okay? So those of you who put comments under the videos, I will definitely get to you, all right? It's just I want to see how far we can go before we lose our light, all right? So we were talking about just the tenets of family, and I wanted to just build on, you know, really quickly on the necessity of family. I know a lot of times we use the word, we throw it around, and sometimes we don't even outline what constitutes a family. You know, it just becomes a word, it just becomes a notion. And what I really want to deal with just for a moment is why family. You know, I know a lot of you may know that sometimes when we're doing the live call-in shows, people call in with issues. One of the first things I'll say is, you know, where's your wife? You know, or I usually don't use the term wife, but where's your mate? You know, where's you have a man? And a lot of times the situations that people are undergoing, they back down to that. They back down to the lack of having that not only emotional and physical balance in their homestead. And remember, the home is an expression of the mind, but it also expresses itself in your spiritual work. Because no matter what you do, there's always a combination of male and female. For those of you watching right now, you're wearing elekes, for instance. You know, that's a combination, the threading, you know, of the string going through the bead. That represents the lingam going through the yoni. You know, so, and so much that we do spiritually or otherwise, there is the laws of gender are present, but, you know, when we live in a society that doesn't really celebrate the conjoining of those energies, then sometimes we lose focus. We lose focus on that value. So, really simple, and I touched on this in Solutions for Dysfunctional Family Relationships. A family is a shelter. You know, the family's primary responsibility is to protect its members. That's number one. Even young children know that. Sometimes you may get into a situation as a child, you'll have a big sister who stands up for you, or a big brother who stands up for you. And you know, they may not show you any kind of affection any other time, but when it's a situation, they do understand the value of protecting their family emblem, their family members, their family name, you see. So its primary responsibility is to protect, you know, its members. And in these days and times, you have to fight to perform that duty. That's the warrior aspect of the alpha that has been really trained and systematically programmed out of members of society. It's the fight. You know, we love to fight, we don't fight for love, you know, in a simple way. But really understanding that a family and your responsibility to your family nowadays is something that is being really tacitly co-opted by a larger society, because economically it works to tacitly co-opt it. So as members of that family, you have to make sure you fight, you hold the gate, you hold the line and say, no, this is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to move forward with my family. And that really depicts or will delineate the alpha family from the beta sheeple, or the beta family. You know, those who plant a flag and say, this is what it's going to be, this is what we're going to do. So the idea of fighting for the family, I know it's sometimes, you know, it seems too aggressive. For those of us who are part of the conscious community, quote unquote, or the spiritual community, and I would just make a note, I don't consider myself to be a part of the conscious community. So, you know, not by reference and name what the conscious community has come to be known as. I don't participate in any of those activities or events or anything like that, but I am well aware that some may consider me to be a part of the conscious community. But just as those who are consciously aware, those who have come into a place of loftier consciousness, you know, now the war begins to really mark out what it is it's going to be. And sometimes we don't realize that it is an ongoing fight. Now, where we tend to lose our family, where we tend to lose specifically our children, is in exposing them to the fight. You know, our families become like a boot camp. And a lot of times we don't realize that that's what actually turns the children away. I'm going to give you, because we're going to jump right into it, I'm going to give you the number one binding agent that an individual can use to make sure that their family, for its members, especially its children, is always perceived as a place and an experience that it wants to be a part of. And this is something that very few families have. I mean, and just think about it when I say it. When I first say it, you're probably gonna be like, nah, that's too simple. But just think about it. Families don't have fun, especially conscious families. Now, you may say, no, I take my children to the park. No, I take them, I don't know, we do family fun night, and we make meals and stuff like that. Okay, I'm not speaking about a woman, a single mother, taking her children to an amusement park, or a single father or a visiting father taking his children to an amusement park or to the beach. I'm talking about when children see mother and father and everyone's enjoying themselves, they're enjoying one another. It could be something as simple as playing Monopoly. It could be something as simple as having family chess tournaments. You know, these are the things that bind children into a family. Believe it or not, it's the simple one thing, fun. And it doesn't have to be an expensive adventure. I mean, it could be something as cheap as, like, we're just gonna go out and build a snow fort. You know, now I know that seems inconceivable to a lot of individuals, because you know what, we're working and, you know, we don't have time. We wish we did have more time to spend with our families, so forth and so on. But if your lifestyle is not cultivated and contoured around you enjoying yourself every single day, then you are easy prey for this predatory society. Easy. Now again, I know that may sound a little radical, because we say, well, we have Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. You know, I do things Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We go bike riding, or we do this, or we do that. That's not enough. Every single day, you have to do something that's enjoyable. See, that's a part of your warrior aspect, a part of your warrior energy. But sadly, we inundate ourselves with responsibilities and work and work and work. And then what we do is we bestow that same sick mentality onto our children. So especially when we become conscious, our children come in the room, what do we do immediately? We start quizzing them, right? Who built the first step pyramid in Giza? What does this word mean? What does that mean? Who was the first? You know, and then what we're trying to create are like these super children, you know, like these superhuman children, and we want them to be the best and most shining example of the consciousness that we've been able to acquire up until that point, without realizing that whatever you've acquired up until that point that you're trying to drill into your child is going to expand. And there's nothing more inspiring to a family, there's nothing more inspiring to a child, especially to see their parents expand their consciousness, their own consciousness. Not just drilling them that they need to expand their you need to read more, you need to do this more, you need to spend more time with that nerdy child down the block that you keep making fun of, and boom, 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 boom. There's nothing more intriguing than seeing your parent expand their consciousness. That's inspiring. And not only that, when a family encourages each member to expand themselves. So you see the father encouraging the mother for expansion. You see the brothers encouraging the sisters, the children encouraging the parents encouraging the children for expansion. Now notice I keep saying parents, not mother and grandmother, mother and auntie, father and grandmother. No, parents. That's a family. So a lot of the calls that come in and a lot of the questions revolve around, well, when there's a lack of that, in light of that not being present, what do? You go get it. This society teaches you too many alternative lifestyles. I'll tell you something interesting, right? Speaking about what society teaches you. So I received an email from the organization that hosts this video that you're watching right now. I'm trying an experiment. I'm not going to say its name, because you're watching it right now on your phone. I'm going to see if I'm going to use that word later, and I'm see if it sets off a trigger. Because they're using voice recognition as well as facial recognition. But I received a letter saying that, or email rather, that the content that was in Last Strong's video was, I think, Family and the Alpha Man, something like that, right? That's the one where it got dark, the one I'm speaking about. It's like it's getting dark now too. But I received an email from that company, and it said that some of the content in my video may be considered offensive to viewers. So I was giving a notice to review the video for possible offensive content. You see, so immediately I'm saying, what? I keep things, I feel for the most part pretty PG-13. I'll say PG-13, but so then I reviewed and I said, I know what that is. The fact that I was speaking about the source of the ailment, I was saying that, okay, well, this is what creates this type of child, this type of behavior, this type of activity, this type of mindset. So if I was just speaking about the symptom, it would be perfectly fine. Yeah, you're going out there with your pants hanging down on your behind and you got on these skinny jeans and you slutted out over there. And I was just having that type of, it would be perfectly fine, no problem. You see? But when I speak about the science of how the source is operating in order to regenerate that problem, that's considered offensive to some. So that's when the alpha kicks in and says, this is the political tyranny that makes the alpha give away their position. You see? So it's the same thing that makes a family give away its members, because immediately you can say, oh no, they're gonna take my stuff down and people are not gonna be able to watch it. All right, let me see how I can change this to make it more acceptable. I don't care, take it down. That's why in these videos I'm always putting links to my site, Enlightenment and Transformation, newlifeglobal.org, seduluhouse.com. I don't trust that this will always be here or that I'll always be welcome to put information here. So I can host it myself. And then they may say, well, now you're banned from the internet. Okay, well, we have physical locations establishing you can always get with me and things like that. So you make sure that you're controlling your own path, you're controlling your own trajectory no matter what. And very similar to a call that came in recently on the community show where a woman had said that she appreciated the fact that in the way that we teach at the Sadula House, we don't, we stress self-reliance, okay? So it's not about you looking at me or anyone else and saying, that's who I want to, you may say that's who I want to be like, please surpass us, please. But you're not looking at saying that's who I want to be, per se. And I was saying, and she was saying, we know that if we did find out something about you later, Chief, that maybe you did this or that, we wouldn't necessarily throw the baby out with the bathwater. And my suggestion to her was throw the baby out with the bathwater. Get rid of me. Don't listen to me anymore. If you find out something disparaging, that's truly disparaging about me, because everything that I've given you up until this point, you should be applying anyway. You shouldn't just have a library of Chief Speaks, a library of Foundational Fridays, a library of Thunderground Thursdays, a library of Mastermind Mondays, a library of our new Asafos. That the library should be here. It should have already been put in, synthesized, processed, and you should be implementing and applying it to your life. Sometimes things are revealed about your instructors because it's time for you to go to a new instructor, or maybe it's a season for you where you're not supposed to have an instructor. You're supposed to kind of just absorb things on your own for a little bit and look from that child's eye, that baby eye, and just be quiet for a little bit, so by all means. So, I just thought it was interesting. I mean, that's a side though, but receiving that email, and we're speaking about the alpha and how we're moving forward. Of course, there's an agenda to suppress the alpha. Absolutely. It's a tyrannical agenda. And if you knew no other way, if you couldn't just come and take alpha position, you'd have to find a way to beguile and coerce them out of position. You see? So you create certain things that the alpha thinks that they need. And then you say, okay, well, if you don't do this, I'll take it from you. If you don't act this way, if you don't take me out to dinner and say something nice to me, and this and that, I won't give you this. So I'm gonna give a cursory answer to one of the emails that did come in. And someone was asking me basically like, definitely appreciate everything I'm hearing. How do I get to that place? I'm gonna give you something real simple. And again, it's gonna be so simple that you're probably not gonna believe. You're gonna think I'm just yanking your chain. It's very simple. One of the first things you wanna do as man, woman, or child to start to develop a sense of alpha reliance, reliance, self-reliance, is a simple exercise. Take something that you partake in regularly and fast from it for 62 days. So sugar, sex, TV, your phone, okay? And just don't use it. Maybe it's your car. Don't drive your car. Figure out a way around it. Walk, take the bus, get a bicycle. What you're basically doing is you're learning how to live without things. I tell when I teach other kind of classes, especially the counseling, that a lot of times is a problem with the young men. They think they can't live without sex. You see, they don't understand that it's a desire and a want. It's not necessarily a need. So I say, okay, take something that you think you can't live without and fast from it. And start getting your mind, you're mentally deprogramming yourself, but start hypnotizing yourself into knowing once again that everything that you need to traverse the planet, you already have. So now what happens, you're able to be a lot more clear-headed in your interactions with other people. You're not interacting with them from an egoic place of want or egoic place of hunger and craving as soon as you meet them. You see? Now, you do that. Just start there. I know it's simple. Just try it. And you'll start to be on your way to that space. So let's go back again to the family and the alpha aspect, because that's something we're going to really be dealing with going forward. I've made that decision that's going to be one of the pivotal counterpins of the teachings that we really build with and deal with going forward. A lot of people think when you say alpha, they think like Vaughn, somebody comes in and hits the soda machine, and sodas fly out, and they sit down and turn their hat backwards. Hey, you know, that's not an alpha. Sometimes there's a fine distinction between a rude jerk and an alpha. Okay, so to be very clear, an alpha is the most important individual in a community. That's what an alpha is. So the most important individual is going to be defined by the most pressing needs of said community. So just being cool doesn't make you an alpha if there's no way to process and utilize cool for the advancement and protraction of the community. You see, so the alpha is the most, and that's male or female. Now, in being the most important person in the community, what that allows the alpha, you see, we're losing our light, it's turning dark again, but you know, we do something different sometimes. You guys are used to seeing me all lit up. What that does, and this is cool, you know, it's another thing you can do sometimes, which is fun spiritually. I'm actually in a hiking space, so chances are by the time we're done, I'm going to hike back in the dark. Okay, which I love. I love night pitch black hikes, you know. So it's something you could do too. You know, it's a really good spiritual tool. A lot of times it's a way to meditate. Sometimes people have trouble meditating because they have all these random thoughts. Try a night hike, you know. And I know something gonna get me, whatever, you know, something's getting you right now. But so let's go back to this. So the alphas are allotted the access to not only the most sexual experiences, because the community typically wants to spread that gene and that DNA throughout its community because of, you know, its superiorness, but they usually have first or most or slash best access to also food in the community. Why? Because they're such important members of the community. Now, an alpha for your community could be a genius computer programmer. You know, your alpha might be the person who knows how to forage and identify herbs and different ground berries better than anyone else. Of course, it may also be your best warrior. It may be your most intelligent person, depending again on the needs of said community. And that goes for men and that goes for women as well. And it even goes for children. So the alpha is determined by a hierarchy of the important needs of the community. And the alpha tends to be the most important member of a community. Okay, so just because a person is really smart and can teach something, if your community doesn't necessarily have a need for information right now, but has more of a need for applicators, then that brilliant person may not be the alpha of the community. The person who may not be as smart, you know, like the Haru, but the Tahuti is the brilliant one. But the Haru will say, well, just give me the words to say, Tahuti, I'll do it. That may be the individual who ends up being the alpha or most important member of your community. So I wanted to clarify that, you know, so that way people would understand that, again, it's not about just telling people what to do and being a boss and, you know, or being bossy rather, or being rude or being arrogant. The alpha extends, you know, to a different space. So for a moment, I want to build on the warriorhood that's been lost. And we talk about being a warrior a lot, especially being a spiritual warrior or being a healing warrior. And, you know, you've heard me say in the past, whatever you do in this day and time, you have to do it as a warrior. If you clean floors, if you shine shoes, if you're a chef, if you're a personal trainer, if you're an author, if you're a Reiki master, whatever you're doing, you need to do it from the perspective of a warrior in order to regain or at least strive towards an alpha position so that you can be important, especially because you have a society that is preying on and offensively trying to block and stop your means of evolution and growth, as well as your family's means of evolution and growth. So whatever it is you do, if you do it from a pure and sincere place, you're going to have to fight to do it. And that's what I know, and we've learned to be so passive. When you say words like warrior or fight, it's like, why? Why is there conflict? You know, peace will dispel. Oh, yeah, sometimes you got to go to war for peace. You know, so The warrior has been removed from us and our children based on lifestyle. See, that's the allegiance to the foreign gods you hear me speak about. The foreign gods are foreign culture. So because we've now totally invested ourselves into foreign culture that speaks against where we need to be, now those gods have ruled what our alpha presence is in our minds. If you say, well, God is love, God is peace, and God doesn't war, well, your aspirations are always going to be to reflect the highest principles of what you consider to be your supreme presence or your supreme intelligence, you see? So your lifestyle may begin to reflect that. Your eating habits may begin to reflect that. I'll give you something really simple again, and this is for people who are really looking to break it, because some of the correspondences I received this month, you know, some people express their frustration, like, wow, you broke that down like this, and now I really see what's been wrong. I see what's wrong with me or what's wrong with others. And I'm telling you, a lot of times it's the lifestyle. You know, it's a lifestyle that we're invested in that's holistic. So your cure has to be holistic. I'm gonna give you an example. It's something that I do and something that I've always encouraged my children to do. That may work for you as well. You know, that's why I'm sharing it. I'm not typically a breakfast eater. Sometimes, you know, it's company over something. For the most part, no. The reason being is, now I may feed children breakfast, but breakfast is earned. So you don't just wake up, wash up, and come down and eat breakfast. Why would you? You haven't done anything. Why would you be allowed to eat? You haven't done anything. So think about what that does from a psychological perspective. I don't do anything. I just come there and there's food there. And I have not earned this food. I have not hunted for it. I have not searched for it. I have not done anything. I'm practically like a scavenger energy anyway, because for the most part, breakfast that's eaten in the Western Hemisphere, it's all dead food. You know, you're not eating salads usually for breakfast. You may eat fruit, but you might, you know, you're usually eating some type of starch, something dead, or some type of dead meat. So you wake up and you immediately go into the zone where you're subconsciously identifying yourself as a scavenger. I didn't work for this meal, you see? So something as small as that. You think about when we say we're warriors, or I'm a child of Ogun, or I'm a child of Shango, child of Oshun, this, that. Well, think about the occupations that those particular archetypes are patrons over. Okay, this is really easy. I'm just giving you some easy exercises. So if we say, for instance, Ogun and Shango, Eshu, Ochosi, they're hunters, right? Well, how does a hunter like move typically, right? Because if these are our aspirations, or if these are archetypes that we're saying these represent our highest consciousness, our highest presence that we could achieve right now, and then we want to go beyond that, then we have to look at it holistically, lifestyle and everything, right? Well, a hunter wakes up very early, typically doesn't eat much because they want to be light, they want to be able to move. You know, they may have something, a little berry, something, a snack, but then they start going out to work. A hunter usually eats a big meal at night after they've caught their game. So a lot of times a hunter, a warrior, won't eat all day. They may pick a little something, have a little bit of water, not a lot of water, but they'll eat at night after they light their fire, because they've earned that meal, they've earned that catch, and they're eating something that's fresh, you see? So now compare that possibly to your own lifestyle, you know, to how you move. How much are you moving and tracking and activating your senses first thing in the morning, you see? So it's small things like that. Well, I can't say it's small because it might be a huge lifestyle change for some of you. But it's the things like that that begin to defeat the hormonal balance inside of you, because you're starting to posture and move in a way that doesn't speak to your gender assignment. For instance, sitting at a desk all day, sitting at a computer all day, social media. You know why that takes the warrior and the alpha out of a lot of people? Because there's no consequence to whatever you do. You can go on social media, curse someone out, you know, say something rude about me. Oh, chief, why don't you shut up? You always do. Right? What can I really do? Nothing. So you become accustomed to having this avatar. You just sit down on your behind in front of a screen, you say or do whatever you want, and there's no response. You never have to even test your ability to respond. Responsibility, you see? So that starts to defeat the hormonal balance in you. Women, the same thing. Women are a watery energy. So what does that mean? They should be moving and flowing. What do so many do or aspire to do? Sit at a desk all day. Same thing. Are they working for the meal? Or is someone working for the meal and they're coming and they're scavenging afterwards? Doesn't matter if you paid for it. It's still a form of scavenging. Are you thinking about what you're going to eat for the day? Even that's healthier. Okay, what am I going to eat today? Because that's a form of hunting. Oh, I'm going to go over to this natural market. Or I'm going to go here and get some cucumbers and make a salad. Or I'm going to go down to the pier and see if I can get a piece of fish or something. Whatever it is, you see, it's not as good as acquiring and farming and performing the agrarian responsibilities yourself, but it certainly is a lesser form of scavenging. So it's overall lifestyle. It's not just the assertion that we're alphas, we're the bulls. When you look at the word or the term alpha, right, which we know is Greek, but comes from the Hebraic aleph. Aleph is the letter A, right? So, you know, like you have alpha, beta, but Aleph, A-L-E-P-H, is the letter A. Sometimes you say A-L-I-F, right, in Hebraic form. And Hebraic form is something that's good to know, especially when you're speaking this language. But in Kemet, you had that form of an A, but it was represented by the vulture, right? So, and maybe I'll do a segment on that, you know, the supremacy of the vulture. Remember, the rulers in ancient Kemet wore the vulture and the uraeus, or the serpent, on their crowns. So that represented, again, an alpha status. It was the vulture and the vulture, the hawk vulture, which was actually, it wasn't just like the regular vulture, the big one you may see. It was different kind. They made that wah, wah sound, okay? And that wah, that was the A. Okay, so it wasn't like ah or a, it was ha. Okay, so that was that A tonality, and you have to think about, and you can, I mean, you may not be able to do it right now. Maybe you get to a certain space in your car, make that tone, and see what it does to your body. You know, see how it makes your body feel. You know, even when you look at the pictograph of that vulture. What does that say to you? Now, in the Hebraic, that A represented ox, or an oxen. So the oxen takes you again to the bull aspect. When you're dealing with the bull, you're dealing with of course, it's a form of Osiris. I mean, I'll get into the bull. I was actually going to do a Taurian breakdown on the bull, but we'll save that perhaps. But the point is, you're dealing, again, you want to look at the alpha. Don't just look at it as being, I'm a rude jerk. Look at it as what the ox represents. You know, the strength of the ox. You know, often, a lot of times, different from the bull. You know, the difference between a bull and an ox a lot of times is a bull has been castrated. Okay, so ox would represent that virile animal, you know, and this goes from male or female. It doesn't just have to be, you know, you have alpha females as well, and alpha females function in the same way. They have extended themselves to the maximum of their womanhood, as the alpha male has extended himself to the maximum of his manhood. And how do we know it's the maximum? When another alpha comes and knocks him out of position. See, the alphas maintain position. You got in the animal kingdom, amongst like the gorillas, they maintain it primarily through intimidation. So they fight sometimes, but they don't have to fight as much. But whereas you look at like lions, for instance, they maintain it through aggression. They have to fight for their alpha status. But an alpha woman is all woman. So we think about the properties of womanhood. I think probably Sister Taya at the end of the month show, if she's on it this month, you know, because all of you students are welcome, you know, but I know you like to watch other people go out more. But Sister Taya will probably share with you some of the tenets of womanhood. That's been a study that she's really been working on as of late, so that she could share it with the family. But it's the maximization or the maximizing of that tenet, of that energy, of that archetype. And the alpha male or the alpha man is maximizing that archetype. And you're going to find that they're not diametrically opposed, but they're diametrically complementary. They're mutual polarities, just in different spaces, you see. So, but they all come under that idea, again, of that A vibration, the A vibration being the most important, and again, taking it back to the Kemetic being that vulture, you know, or that hawk vulture. So, you know, of course, when you're dealing with the hawk vulture, you're dealing with the Iyami, you're dealing with the mothers, you're dealing with the Uajet, or the Wajet, or the Aj, you see. So the supremacy, think about the Uajet for a moment, or the Aj, they do what they want, okay? They create the contours of life. They create, like Iya Lode, Iya, mother, Lode or Ode, outside, mother of outside. They call her mother nature. She creates the contour of what you see. So they're the ones who create the rules. The alphas create the rules. So the most alpha on the planet is actually the witches, okay, or actually the Aj. We'll maybe get into that, you know, I'll share some more information on that. But I wanted to really create or show a distinction for those who may have needed it between the idea of the tough guy or the idea of the boss bitch and what a true alpha is. Because that may have nothing to do with either one. Those just may be rude people or insecure people, or they may actually be alphas. It goes to what is most important. So that A, or that ox, you think about what happens in an agrarian society, what that oxen represents. You think about what that hawk vulture represents. And in Kemetic times, they were also called the birds of Osiris, or the birds of Osar, because they were sacred. You weren't allowed to kill them. In fact, in Yoruban society, it is taboo to kill a vulture. You know, there's a pataki about that I was going to share with you all. But I think I may break this up, give another like part B or something like that, because there's a lot of information that I'm not saying. And speaking of that, I've gotten a good amount of encouraging emails and posts where people have said, oh, Yuya, please share, because this is important information, and thank you so much. I'm glad someone is speaking on it. Those of you who have said that, you know, you can call in the community show 1 to 3 Eastern, Tuesday and Thursdays. You can share too. And at the end of the month, you know, every last Sunday, we have the student panel, which will be next Sunday. You can call in and share too. You know, if everyone is afraid and it's just me speaking, I'm fine with that, because that just gives me more access to the best food, and it gives me more access to the best women. No problem. But, you know, you can share too. It doesn't just always have to be me putting myself on the chopping block, which I don't have any problem with, because my skin is like leather. You're not going to get through it. But, you know, you have opportunities throughout your day and throughout your life to step into that alpha position as well. You know, and if it's not your lane, that's fine. But you should always be striving towards that higher, that vulture, that soaring. You should always be striving to that space. You know, that's a healthier place to be. All right, so it's dark now, so I'm gonna actually create an addendum to this video. All right, so I'm gonna do a part 2, and from that part 2, then we'll go from there. All right, so but thank you all for listening at this point. Thank you all who have signed up for our newlifeglobal.org. A lot of you are waiting to, you know, we're still organizing submissions and seeing where people want to contribute. One thing I'd like to say is, when you sign up for the form, please specify. A lot of people are like giving these real esoteric answers, like, how do you want to contribute? I want to contribute to all of my being. Stop with that. All right, do that in heaven. Here we need a little bit more order. So if you go to the About Us page, it shows you different ministries where there's different things that, you know, different places you can contribute, where there's different needs at this point in the ministry. So try to use that in your form as opposed to something abstract. No one's impressed by that. All right, but I love you all the same. But all right, you know, thank you for that, and make sure you tune in this Tuesday to the community radio show. 347-945-7680. Call in and sharing your thoughts and ideas, as well as the end of month show. We'll be discussing the alpha formation a little bit more, and I'll probably share. Maybe I'll give them a clip of the part B that I wanted, because there's a lot more I wanted to speak on, but I'm ebb and flowing. Okay, but I just really wanted to speak on the distinction of what the alpha is and why there's a need for family. And then the next one will go into some more of the deeper esoteric aspects of it. And I'm also going to answer the questions that many of you sent in. All right, so until such time, this has been Chief Yuya with Chief Speaks on Enlightenment and Transformation. Thank you all. I'll speak to you soon.